So we're up to 10,000 dead now, 10,000 Palestinians killed, of which a tiny proportion are actually members of Hamas. I think Israel recently said that in total they've killed something like 40 Hamas commanders, which there's no reason to trust anything Israel says, but like even if you take their word for it, like 40 commanders, like how many actual militants? What's the ratio of like militants dead to civilians, do you think? I mean, like you got to know it's bad because I feel like if it wasn't, Israel would be claiming that like half the people they're killing are Hamas. But I haven't even seen claims like that. You know, it seems like they're mostly just throwing their arms up in the air and going, "Yeah, we're killing mostly civilians. What are you going to do about it?" I popped open the CNN article, so we hit this crazy milestone. And we're reminded immediately of like the state we're in by reading the language here. More than 10,000 people have been killed in Gaza since Israel launched its military offensive nearly a month ago, the Hamas-controlled health ministry in the Palestinian enclave said Monday. Israel declared war on Hamas after the Islamist militant group launched a brutal attack on October 7th, killing 1,400 in Israel, kidnapping more than 240. Israel retaliated by launching an air and ground offensive on Gaza, vowing to eliminate the militant group. Remember, it's a brutal attack when you kill 1,400 as an Islamist militant group, okay? But when you kill 10,000 with vastly superior firearms and displace more than a million, okay, that's not brutal. That's a retaliation, all right? Vowing to eliminate the militant group. It's unclear how many combatants are included in the total. CNN cannot independently verify the numbers released by the Ministry of Gaza, which is sealed off by Israel and mostly sealed by Egypt. The 10,000 number is pretty reliable. It also makes sense from what we're seeing. You know, there are many thousands of people who are still buried in the rubble. Like, we might not actually ever get the full number of people dead here. I have a feeling that like this is the end for Gaza. I genuinely like people are wondering what's next. Like, what is the future of Gaza? And I just can't see a world where Israel continues to allow it to exist. It's very obvious at this point that like the United States is not going to let anything or anyone stop Israel from committing this massacre because we are so desperate to keep our wedge against Iran in the Middle East. And you know, as a consequence of that, like what's next, right? Israel is not going to kill 2 million people because, as much as they would want to, don't get me wrong, that's a lot of work. So, in all likelihood, a significant number of these people are probably going to be displaced. I imagine international pressure is going to mount largely against Egypt, you know, to take in a bunch of people. But, you know, who knows how much sway we have there, really. Egypt doesn't want to take in 2 million Palestinians. Maybe some other countries will, like, performatively offer to help by, like, you know, I'll take 10,000, I'll take 10,000. I don't really know. It's ethnic cleansing in the most sheer and obvious terms. What's more, from what I can tell, and obviously this isn't official policy because it would be pretty bad optics for them to just openly admit it, but the impression that I'm getting from a lot of Zionist types, you know, like advocates for what's happening right now in Gaza, is that they really are viewing this as a complete retaking. There are officials in Netanyahu's cabinet who have just like officially stated, like, yeah, we want to retake this land. All the Palestinians are evil and should be deported. You know, like the Ministry of Heritage. We looked at his comments just a little bit ago. When I say a little bit ago, what I'm saying is from my time. Maybe you haven't seen that video. You should watch all my videos. But I've been seeing a lot of like congratulatory Zionist sort of bullshit on how like, you know, we're taking the beaches back. Yeah. Gaza having, of course, prime beach real estate. Uh, Unironically, I've actually heard the beaches there are really nice. So they're all fantasizing about setting up hotels or whatever. I can't imagine any future in which Gaza continues to exist. Like, we have to face the cold hard facts here, right? I mean, Hamas can't win. Even if Hamas could somehow win, and they can't, but even if they could, they're not exactly responsible, well-intentioned shepherds of the Palestinian well-being. Obviously, they're Islamist militants. They may have been radicalized by some of the most brutal long-term occupation yet seen on, you know, the face of the planet. So their radicalization may be sort of nested in something legitimate, but as a consequence of that, a lot of them are cuckoo. Sorry, I just don't place much stock in the, you know, the governing ability and the well thought out intentional leadership of Islamist militants, right? We saw this with the Taliban as well. I mean, the Taliban are essentially the official government of Afghanistan now, but that doesn't exactly make them you know, being anti-colonial does not necessarily mean you're good for the people that you're ridding Western oppressors of. So That's Hamas, right? In terms of international involvement, I don't know at what threshold Biden or like the West broadly would back condemnation against Israel for their behavior. I genuinely have no idea. It seems like this is going to continue to be more and more optics poison for the Biden administration, considering the fact that even just a month of support for Israel has led to, what was it, an 11-point drop in support of the Biden administration from Democrats. Independents were affected as well. So it's possible there might be some point where they're like, holy shit, we have to condemn. And maybe something comes of that. Biden could stop this, like that, by the way. No matter how much Israel has attempted to build itself out as some kind of independent nation state, it is shielded massively by the position the United States has on the UN Security Council. We can protect Israel from international condemnation, which we have done dozens of times before in their flagrant violation of human rights laws. So, they need us. And if we don't back them, then they're in a lot of trouble, no matter how many nukes or U.S. weapons they have. Um, so there's that. Uh, yeah, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. So, following all that, pretty much the only options are just all the Palestinians get kept in a smaller part of Gaza, they get removed entirely, or all of Gaza is returned to the Palestinian people. And I don't know which of these is going to happen. I don't think all of Gaza is going to be kept in the hands of the Palestinian people. It seems like right now the approach the IDF is taking towards their ground invasion of northern Gaza is intentionally designed to just flatten it from the top down so that they can essentially rebuild over it. I could be wrong on that. I remember seeing from like satellite images, like lines of bulldozers moving through, presumably to destroy IEDs and traps of some kind, clear rubble, allow soldiers to move through. I'm not a military expert. It seems like their behavior is very much focused on capturing the land rather than clearing the city, if that makes sense. But who can say? Israel has been looking for a way to oust the Palestinian population for a long time. They've been doing it slowly, bit by bit, and now they've been given casus belli to just finish the job in Gaza. So maybe that's the goal here. I don't know if Egypt is going to take those people. I don't know if they're going to be like made functionally stateless as they just flee and just sort of like scatter to the winds. I don't know. Maybe there's going to be some like extremely ill-advised mass exodus up to Lebanon. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't think anyone does. I don't think that Israel has a plan here, really, because unless Egypt opens up its borders or something massive changes, at some point Israel is either going to have to stop or just grind 2 million people into paste, which I feel like even that, like that might just be enough to get the Biden administration to lift a finger. I don't know. Maybe, call me naive. It's not impossible. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Hold on. Let me see if I can IDF ground forces in Gaza. Oh wait, UA map. UA map Israel. Live UA map. Every would-be geopolitics expert's favorite tool. Thank you. Okay, here we go. So here we have, of course, the northern part of the Gaza Strip. This line right here, I believe it's this line exactly, right? This is the river crossing? Or is that here? So I think it's this. Yeah, because that's where this stops. That is the line south of which Palestinians were told to flee. This blue area is controlled by the IDF. We just saw this, some IDF soldiers taking a photo by the beach. That would be somewhere here or somewhere here. They have recaptured that expensive beachfront territory, that they're going to build hotels on. There are still many, many, many Palestinians here who did not flee south because obviously being given just a few days to flee south across crowded, bombed out roads that are still actively being bombed, when there are sick people, young people, you have no food, no water, no electricity. It's a tall order, too tall, in fact. So there are a lot of people who are still here, a lot of people who are still going to get hurt. And now they're trapped. IDF here, IDF here. They certainly can't flee this way. There are plenty of IDF soldiers right here along the so-called border. So they're going to crunch in. And again, like, what's going to happen? I imagine that as the vice closes, we're going to see more and more videos of war crimes. I mean, we've already seen plenty, so that's not new. But, Everyone has a cell phone these days, and you're going to see just movement through. I think that Israel is aware of this too, because they are deliberately bombing the houses of journalists in northern Gaza. Uh, Hold on. Israel-Gaza war has taken a severe toll on journalists, and Hamas launches unprecedented attack. The deadliest month for journalists since the CPJ began gathering data in 1992, a committee to protect journalists. So in the entire history of this committee, specifically designed for this exact purpose, this has been the deadliest month for journalists, in large part because Israel is deliberately striking the houses of journalists. They keep tabs on this stuff. Journalists are being killed precisely because they have the ability to film and broadcast what IDF soldiers are doing and will do. And as the vice tightens and gets closer and closer towards where these people are trapped, what do you think the IDF is going to do when they see them? Like, given the way Israel has behaved thus far, I think it's pretty reasonable to assume that the IDF is going to take a pretty, like, shoot-on-sight attitude towards a lot of groups of innocent refugees. And there probably will be a few times that, like, Hamas insurgents are sort of, like, hiding amid the crowds of civilians and over the people around them by shooting from them. Though obviously that behavior on its own doesn't give the IDF soldiers permission to just gun everyone down. That shit happened all the time in Afghanistan or Syria or whatever, where you would have like insurgents mixed up with civilians, and the United States military still is way, way, way more cautious and fair-handed when dealing with this kind of situation than the IDF is, because we're not hopped up on anywhere near as many Hitlerite particles. Anyway, yeah. Israel does not want there to be any cameras on the ground as the IDF moves in, because we're going to see some gruesome shit. Like, yeah. 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 If you want to look into it too, like there are tons of articles that are specifically just about how bad this conflict has been for journalists, in large part because like there has been an active effort to kill them. The IDF loves killing press. They love that. They love killing press. It's their favorite thing in the world to do. CPJ said it's investigating numerous reports of other journalists being killed, missing, detained, hurt, or threatened, and of damage to media offices and journalists' homes. Like, the IDF doesn't give a they'll bomb like Western journalists. They've bombed like UN schools. They do not care. Some good news over here on the right-hand side. The Israeli army, 50,000 Palestinians moved from northern Gaza to its south today. I don't know whether or not that statistic is accurate, but that does mean they are keeping a corridor open. 50,000 is, I don't know how many people are trapped up here. My guess would be like a 250,000. That'd be a guess. Total, just complete guess. Throwing that out there into the void. Somewhere in that ballpark, maybe. I don't know how many are going to be allowed to leave. It makes sense that the IDF would try to keep a corridor open for people who are able and willing to move down through this road. That would make sense because it's to the benefit of the IDF that they move down, because the more people they have to gun through up here, the like more opportunities they have to sort of worsen their international reputation. I'm not really sure. I guess we'll have to see. Yeah. It's such a small part of the world. You know?